How's it going, folks? Stu here. How the ruddy hell is everyone doing? 2021's pretty much finished. In fact, I don't know when this is going up. It's probably already finished. If it is 2022, wow, what a night, huh? Can't believe Michael did that with Janine. I think I've successfully fooled everyone. That's right, new year, new me. More like new year, the exact same me, but a few days older. I love the end of the year for a few different reasons. One of those is lists, and who doesn't love a good old list? The big one being the best films of the year list, which I do every year. That's still to come, folks. Don't worry, it's coming. I usually get it done within January, but there is always room for more lists. Intriguing, I hear you mutter? Say? You wouldn't ask. Look, I'm hearing what you're putting down. What other possible lists could there be, Stu? Let me tell you. It's a Hidden Gems of 2021 list. There's a load of great films that came out this year, and I couldn't fit anywhere near all of them into my top 10 because there wasn't just 10. So I always like to give a shout out to some of those other hidden gems which weren't good enough perhaps to fall into my favorites of the year list, but were certainly good enough for me to go, that was an underrated gem and you belong in your own list. So I've scoured all of my frankly limited knowledge on the year of film and picked out 5 films which I would consider to be hidden gems, which I haven't seen a lot of people chat about, that I genuinely think are worth your time, regardless of what genre you want. Hopefully there's a little bit of something for everyone in here. And most importantly, you can watch all of these from the comfort of your own home right bloody now. Should we talk about some hidden gems? Because oh boy do I have some. 5 of them. First up is a film which I caught earlier in the year, and I still think about it sometimes as like that was a really fun and just interesting way of doing that, wasn't it? It's NinjaBaby, which is a Norwegian sort of dark comedy drama, which is essentially about a cartoonist that gets pregnant when she doesn't want to be pregnant and sort of draws the baby in a way to sort of process that, and the baby sort of, the cartoon comes to life. It's kind of weird. A lot of fun. It's a sort of idea which could have gone very much the wrong way, I think, and I really appreciate the way this film doesn't fall back too heavily on that whole gimmick of like a cartoon coming to life. It's an effect which is quite minimal throughout the film and allows the actual comedy and drama of the real people and the real characters to stand on its own. And it amounted to a really sort of refreshing, quite fun, but also quite poignant time. Yeah, sure, you kind of know what's gonna happen character-wise and where it's going, and we've seen these beats done before. But what helps it pull off what it's trying to do here is this real sense of personality throughout the thing. Really great performances, charming humor. I thought it was a really fantastic all-rounder that didn't quite make it to my favorites of the year by any means, but it's still probably the most unique and fun one to watch. It's available to rent on iTunes for about $5, I think, or you can grab it at Curzon Home Cinema for a bit cheaper, I think, but I can't remember the price. Second on my list is a film which I had absolutely no idea about. And then I did, and I love it. It's Freshman Year, or as I believe it's called in the States, Shithouse, which is an infinitely better title. For all intents and purposes, I'm just going to call it Shithouse while I'm talking about it now, because I make the rules here. Shithouse is a coming-of-age college film directed by Cooper Raiff. You already know it's up my street, and this is probably going some way to explain why I love it so much. Basically about a, you guessed it, freshman in his freshman year who isn't getting on with many people, isn't making a lot of friends at college, and just happens to meet a girl after a party one night. And no, that is not a new premise, but what I love so much about Shithouse is this kind of charming, low-budgetness of it all. Like, everything is so bare bones, I guess. It's made by Cooper Raiff, a very young dude. I think he's like 23 or something. It's made by him and some friends for a budget of pretty much nothing. I mean, obviously there's some budget, but like super low budget. And as a result, it feels like a film which is very sort of genuinely approaching a lot of the topics and themes and thoughts that you'd go through as someone going to college for the first time. Obviously, teenagers' priorities are very different to adult priorities. That's the whole point. You're growing up and you're learning things, and there's a fine line between an endearing teenage film about the problems they're going through and just a teenage film where you're like, get the fuck over yourself. This is very firmly in the former camp on that, and I loved the approach to the things that this character's going through. It's kind of subtle in that sense, in that it doesn't really try to go too deep through those things. It's just about a guy that's very lonely and is finding people and finding someone else to go through that lonely time with at college. But that is also the sort of thing which rides entirely on good chemistry in films. And luckily, I just think the chemistry in this film feels so genuinely kind of goofy and charming, and I believe these characters really, really like each other. And I just had a hoot. I was just beaming through basically all of this film. It did come out a lot earlier in the US. I believe it was a South by Southwest film in 2020 when the pandemic first hit. It's taken a while to get out over here in the UK, so that's why it's on the 2021 list for me. But genuinely, if you're a fan of coming-of-age films, if you want something that's super chilled out, but it'll make you smile, make you feel some kind of heartwarming way, I definitely recommend whacking Shithouse or Freshman Year on, kicking back, grabbing a beer, and just enjoying it. Also, I can't believe I forgot this, but like, belter of a soundtrack. I know sometimes it can feel like a weird thing to fall back on, but genuinely, soundtrack is on point for Freshman Year. I've got that shit on repeat on my Spotify. You can rent it on iTunes or Amazon Prime if you're that way inclined. Don't think it costs too much, but it will always be worth it. And I am now incredibly excited for Cooper Raiff's next film, which is coming out in 2022, I believe, called Cha Cha Slide with Dakota Johnson in it. Color me beyond excited. Next up is a film which I only saw very, very recently because it was added to Mubi very recently. That one is Deerskin, which is a French absurd dark comedy horror thriller about a guy that gets a deerskin jacket and wants to be the only person to wear a jacket because his jacket is so cool. It's completely nuts. And if that sounds like a concept which you would like to watch, you're probably going to have a very good time with this thing. It's directed by French filmmaker Quentin Dupieux, who did Rubber. Our lead is Jean Dujardin, who gets this deerskin jacket. And then there's also Adèle Haenel in there, who you will know from a lot of great French cinema, most recently Portrait of a Lady on Fire, absolute masterpiece. But the two of them are really, really fun to watch in this film. And as I said, it's a film which knows and understands that the best way to get absurd humor is just to play it as straight as you can. And I love the way that this film just consistently does the most nuts stuff and is just like, yep, this is all normal. It is a perfect way to do absurd comedy in my eyes. But it means that I never got bored with that concept, and I think it all adds up to a really, really great finale as well. One of those films you are like, how are they going to end this? I don't know how you go about wrapping up this concept. Oh, that's how you do it. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, that was awesome. As I said, it's available on Mubi now here in the UK. I don't know whether it is for the rest of the world. It might be. Check it out if you want to see if it is. But if you're in the UK, you can watch it on Mubi right now. And my next and fourth hidden gem of 2021 is another French film, which just happens to be on Mubi as well, called All Hands on Deck. This is a French sort of drama, comedy, naturalist coming-of-age film directed by Guillaume Brock, who I've never actually seen any of his stuff before this. So this is my first experience with one of his films. And I 100% fell into it very, very quickly. This is 100% my shit for many reasons, which I am now about to explain. Colorful, beautiful, vibrant summer countryside in France, coming-of-age film where three friends who are not friends at the beginning become friends. I'm 100%, this is my shit, guys. Dude, All Hands on Deck. All the buzzwords you've heard me use on the channel before apply to All Hands on Deck, but it's just done so wonderfully and so sincerely. I think that's a quality which I always tend to really gravitate towards. It's the same with something like Freshman Year, or Shithouse if you want to call it that, earlier on in this list. This has that very same quality of like people that aren't big actors just having fun together, just being together, and relationships that come out of that and the different things they end up doing or saying to each other. And Brock as a director is just really, really good at letting that unfold on screen. It's a very sort of relaxed film in that sense, which means that you just essentially spend time with these people on a trip over one summer, and you just get so engrossed and so enveloped in the character relationships and dynamics, or at least I did. It's worth your time if you want a good, relaxed, chilled out summer film, a coming of age film, which is presented in that very kind of tangible, colorful and vibrant, summery, sensual way as something like Call Me By Your Name. Similarly to Deerskin, this one is also available on Mubi at the moment, so you can watch it there again. You can just have a bloody Mubi day, which is almost essentially what I did. But with that, we come to my final suggestion, my final hidden gem of 2021. And it's a doozy. It's a film which I really, really enjoyed. And I haven't rewatched since I first watched it a lot earlier in the year, but I still really, really want to. And I don't know why I haven't yet. Because it's a film which absolutely begs to be watched multiple times because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of interesting stuff done, which is very subversive, and I always like films that end up subverting expectations in that sense. That film is Black Bear, which is written and directed by Lawrence Michael Lovin and stars Aubrey Plaza, who I fucking love and will watch in basically anything at this point. And I don't want to say too much about it because I think this film's probably best experienced knowing as little as you can going in, which is at least how I experienced it. But I will say it's basically just about a filmmaker that goes to a out in the woods, very isolated retreat and ends up staying with a couple while she's hoping to write some stuff. That's all I'm saying. Dramatic shit goes down. But this is a really, really impressive film in many different ways. Firstly, I loved the very weird approach to the film in terms of direction and in terms of writing. It's a film which sort of presents as one thing and then morphs and morphs into various different things. There's certain thriller and horror elements to the film, and there's certain comedic elements. There's a lot of drama in the film. It weaves in and out of those things really, really interestingly. It was just very, very cool and weaves in some really interestingly meta stuff, which is always something which I tend to quite enjoy seeing on screen. But even then, I wasn't entirely sure I could confidently say I knew exactly what the film was doing, which I find to be much more interesting than films which dangle a lot of questions and then nicely tie them all up for you. I mean, obviously there's a place for that, you know, a different film's a different film, but I really like films which leave you questioning what was going on, even though there can definitely be a very fine line between that just being pretentious and annoying and just doing it for the sake of it, and also doing it worthwhile. That's a very subjective thing, so I'm not going to sit here and say this film's going to be for everyone in that sense, but I do think it's definitely worth watching and making your own mind up. It's probably my favorite performance from Aubrey Plaza, who gives a very different turn than I've seen her do before. It's a really sort of dark and emotional and dramatic turn from her. Won't say much more about that one at the risk of ruining too much or spoiling too much of the feel and surprise of this one for you. But if it sounds like it might be slightly up your street, do check it out. It's now on Mubi, so you can see it free there. But I believe you can also rent it from iTunes and Amazon Prime. Wherever you want to go rent something, you'll probably do that. And with that, we come to the end of 2021's Hidden Gems. Sad. There's a lot more that I could have probably squeezed on here, but I didn't want to keep you for too long, you know? I don't want to give an insane amount of hidden gems, because also, no doubt some people will probably end up piping up going like, oh, it's not that hidden, I've heard of it. So I've kept it short and sweet with 5, but let me know down below if there are any underrated hidden gem films of 2021 that you want me to check out or you want other people to check out. But of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, and if you want to see more lists, I know there's another big one coming soon in my actual top 10 best of 2021 list. Go ahead and click subscribe so you don't miss those or that. You might enjoy it. My socials are also down there as well if you fancy seeing silly thoughts more regularly. See you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films, but until next time, hope you had a cracking New Year's. 2022, more like 20... What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside your trunk.